Hey everybody, this is Kyle with attackofthefanboy.com. I am here with Dean, and this is Mortal Kombat X Combat Pack 2, the new DLC for the very well received fighting game. Dean, you played the game itself and you played this DLC, so tell us a little bit about Combat Pack 2, and then maybe we'll talk a little bit about the game in general.
Oh, yes, I did. It was a great game when it came out last year, so I've been waiting on this DLC for a while since the first Combat Pack. I really loved with four distinct characters, and once again, they've come out now with four new characters. Two of them kind of iconic movie characters in the Alien and Leatherface, and then we also got two other characters. One that's technically a returning fighter in Bo Raicho, and then we have Tri-Borg, which is a new character but it actually brings back a number of old characters in one that kind of makes it even more of a bargain that's absolutely great.
Nice. So we're seeing now The Alien, which is personally one of my favorite movies of all time. So this almost has gotten me to buy Mortal Kombat X just by having this character. But what are the other characters in Combat Pack 2?
The other ones we have, like you said, Alien, we already have, which one thing I will say about him that I really do like is they kind of combined one of his variations with a former character that got left out in Baraka. So a lot of people really wanted Baraka to be added and were disappointed when he wasn't. So technically, you can almost say Baraka was added because his variation adds the Tarkat and spikes and everything into his attacks from there. Then you also have Leatherface, which is the other movie character, which everyone knows from back in the day, and he's kind of got a similar stature to Jason when they added him in the last Combat Pack. He's really big and bulky, but he has, of course, the signature chainsaw that he uses throughout most of his attacks, as well as having a mallet, which he can really pound everyone down with. And then Bo Raicho, who was a character that first debuted back in the PS2 era in the series. He's the one that people may remember as kind of the drunk guy that has fart and puke attacks, and he's pretty much the same as he's always been. He showed up actually in the story mode for Mortal Kombat X, but you couldn't actually use him, which was disappointing. So everyone since then has been hoping he'd be added, and now he's back, and he's basically perfect in the way he is. He has like a drunken master form, as you would expect. He has a staff-based form, which kind of works almost like Kung Jin's staff. Not quite as well implemented there since it's only on a few attacks, but it still worked really well. Plus, he's got a fire-based moves, kind of fire spitter. So it's pretty much he's a more fleshed out version of the original Bo Raicho we know and love. And then the last character, which is actually my favorite, is Tri-Borg, which you may say, okay, who is this guy just off of that? But if you've played the series a long time, you'll recognize the name Cyrax, Sector, and Smoke, which actually in Mortal Kombat 9, Smoke remained a human character, but in the time since, he's once again become a cybernetic being as he was in past games, and they've combined them into one character where you put them all in one variation, or three separate variations, each one representing a character. And unlike the other characters who have like a shared move set with a couple special abilities per variation, each one of these has each variation's a distinct move set from the other. They may move kind of similarly in everything, but everything in them is different. Like Cyrax's moveset has a signature net attack. It has his little bombs he'll throw out, while Sector has his homing missile. And then you have Smoke is probably my favorite of the four. He utilizes a lot of the moves he had in Mortal Kombat 9, where he can knock guys out of the sky again and again, and just kind of use really one of the most unique movesets in all of Mortal Kombat X, I think.
So they're not just like taking characters and throwing a different skin on them. These are actually like differently designed. They add something new to the game.
Right, they really do, because it's basically a lot of people were mad when they left Cyrax, they left Sector, and they left Smoke out, because Smoke was one of the most well-received characters in 9, when before that he was kind of just a meh character that was just kind of there. But then when they left him out, people were pretty disappointed. But here they actually feel like it's kind of, you're basically getting three characters in one, while the other characters still feel like the same. They have three variations that are different but still feel the same. This one actually feels like three distinct characters, where you're technically getting three characters plus an additional three. And there's actually a little secret to them as well that actually adds a fourth element to it.
Yeah, and you said so this pack I think bills itself as 3, but you said there's Tri-Borg is kind of a hidden fourth.
Yes, he does. He has his 3 forms, and then as people that played 9 also may remember, there was a character called Cyber Sub-Zero that's kind of the twist in the story where instead of Smoke getting turned into a cyborg by the Lin Kuei, instead they took Sub-Zero, and in this game he's since returned to his human form through some weird story magic going on. It's just too much to delve into.
Yeah.
But he actually here, he has a 4th form that you can access by, if you're just on the menu, you can. It's a hidden way that we actually have a guide explaining exactly how to get to him. It's not very complicated, and by getting this, you get once again a completely distinct form for Tri-Borgs. So really, it's almost like he should be Quad-Borg, but he has his full ice moveset. He has Ice Ball, his slide attack, and it's pretty much, like I said, a 4th moveset for Tri-Borg, which is great.
Gotcha. Yeah, so he's your favorite character, but what would you say is the hardest character to kind of get a grasp on and figure out the right strategy for?
The hardest at first for me was probably Leatherface, just because when you first start off with him, he's so bulky that you're trying to move, and he does a lot of damage, but he's so big that he's kind of slow in his movement. So if you're like trying to go for a big punch or anything like that, and you may miss, and then the other one has a big opportunity to get in there, and you're vulnerable. But then you kind of figure out the way to use his chainsaw, like his variation, his Berserker variation actually has some really interesting attacks that can do well. But once again, he's still a little slow getting them off. So if you're playing a fast fighter, you're really going to have some trouble there.
And so, I mean, each of these guys bring with them, I'm guessing, their own fatalities and all that sort of stuff. Is there anything really, really cool with these guys that you want to talk about?
Oh yeah, they do all have their own fatalities, and some of them are really cool. Alien has some that are signature to what you would expect from that. It has one where he kind of rips open the middle of the body that you can get right into. Leatherface has, of course, chainsaw-based attack. Then he also has a mallet one where he'll knock him out, hangs him up on I guess almost like a meat chain or something to hang him up on, and kills them through that. Bo Ride Show, in signature fashion, of course, uses his big bottle of alcohol to kill someone that he like puts it in their body and makes them spit up their insides. And Tri-Borg, instead of having each individual fatalities, that is really the only thing besides their X-ray attack that's pretty similar between the different forms, is they share 2 fatalities. That they're interesting, but that's probably the only thing about Tri-Borg I'd say was a little disappointing that there wasn't any distinct fatalities. They just kind of the 3 of them will form together, and one of them has them turning into a giant kind of like crusher that they just can go and kill the opponent, while the other one just has them pretty much dismantling the opponent into pieces. And like I said, they're all right, but they're kind of a little meh for the most part.
Gotcha. I mean, so this is, I'm guessing from the name, the second DLC pack for Mortal Kombat X.
Right.
How's the game shaping up? I mean, when it came out, I think it was very well received. We gave it a good review. I think a 4.5 out of 5. You reviewed it. What did you give it?
Yep, that's right. 4.5. I absolutely loved it when it came out, with it being full of content. It's pretty much the epitome to me of what a fighting game should be. Like, as much as I love a game like Street Fighter V that just came out, it's still, which that's going with kind of the model of more is coming later. But I just love being able to buy a fighting game the day it comes out and just delve into the content. And while they've put out 2 combat packs since, when the game itself came out, it was chock full of content from day one.
Yeah, how's it looking now? So they've added maybe 6 additional fighters.
They've added 8 so far.
8.
Technically 9 if you include Goro, which was available as a pre-order bonus, and then he went up later as DLC. So technically they've put 9 if you look at it in that way. And since then, we've added 4 iconic movie characters in Jason, Predator, Alien, and Leatherface, which is something you almost would have never expected to see. That's a little disappointing Freddy's not in there, so we can get the Freddy versus Jason matchup that people have been wanting since Freddy was added as DLC in 9.
Yeah.
But still, that's just nitpicking at this point with what we've got. And then on the kind of returning character side, we had the addition of Tanya, which was a character that debuted years ago, and she was an interesting character they added. She was probably, I'd say, maybe the least interesting in the ones they've added, but she still was a lot of fun. And the one that actually was surprisingly one of my favorites from the first Combat Pack was Tremor, which is an original character that hadn't been playable. He was in one of the side games. I think maybe it was Special Forces or one of those, where he was a character, and they actually made him into his own full playable character that utilizes like rocks and the earth to fight with, and he's just really, really unique for the game that we haven't had much of a fighter like that. And he's kind of got some movesets that kind of remind me of Ermac a little bit. They took him as like one of the basic ninjas, but really redid his look and everything. And really, now that you have all of these new characters, it just gives you a roster of so much to choose from. That's one of the best things about this game, that the players, all the characters are so distinct. There may be a couple that are different or close enough, but if you pick a character and then go to the next, you're most likely going to have a very different experience from one to the other.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, so let's say someone owns Mortal Kombat X and they only have enough money to grab one of the DLC packs. Which one do you think they should grab?
Ooh, that's a toughie on that one. Well, from playing them, since I've only got to play the second pack a little bit right now, I can't give a full judgment, but if I had to go just off of this amount, I'd probably say Combat Pack 2, just because you're getting so much bang for the buck. The original pack was great, and you got 4 characters that had some different variations that made them each character a little different, but the fact that Combat Pack 2, you're getting the alien, which also has a form that's similar to Baraka, so there's almost like 2 there. You have Leatherface, you have Bo Raicho, and then you have Tri-Borg, which is really 4 in 1, so you're getting so much content in one that it's really hard to turn down. And with the way they put it together in a bundle with Mortal Kombat XL, if you haven't bought the game yet and you were waiting on it, there's absolutely no reason not to pick it up, where you get the game and pretty much get most of the content included in that one pack.
Yeah, I mean, the alien would sell it for me, so Combat Pack 2 has my ringing endorsement without ever playing it. But
yeah, it definitely
my bias.
It was one of those, I was excited from day one when they announced Alien, and really I've always been a fan of Bo Raicho just because he's kind of that outlandish, fun character that really fits right in with Mortal Kombat, and to see characters them really helping out the fans, just doing what they want, bringing back a fan-loved character like that, while also bringing in a character that 5 years ago, before we had like Freddy Krueger added, we never thought we'd see a character like the Alien in a Mortal Kombat game, and to have that now, it's just really spectacular.
Yeah. So, I mean, where do you see them going from here? Have they said that this is the end of DLC now that they're releasing XL, or do you think that some more is going to be coming down the pipe?
I haven't specifically seen them say it's the end. I assume it probably is, considering they've already added this much, and for the amount of time and work it takes them to put into it, I would assume they're probably done. And I'm hoping they're moving on. Granted, it may be different teams involved at NetherRealm Studios. I'm hoping they're moving on to an Injustice sequel, if not already far along in development on it. But with already having this many characters out, and the game's now hitting its year mark, based on what they did with DLC last time in 9, which they've already added a lot more this time, I have a feeling they're probably done. But hey, if they're down for doing a Combat Pack 3, I'm down for buying it.
What would be, so we know you want Freddy because you want Jason versus Freddy, but we'll take him out. What would be at least one, but maybe like 2 or 3 of your ideal characters if they did a Combat Pack 3?
Ooh, well, one I'd definitely like to see back is Rain, which is something I never thought I'd be saying before Mortal Kombat 9, because he was just a reskin that showed up in, I believe it was Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, which had some fun moves, but for the most part, he was just one of those throwaway characters by a lot of people. But in 9, they added him as DLC and really made him a fun character. And he actually showed up and played a part in the story mode for Mortal Kombat X. And I can't remember if he was actually playable, or I think you just play against him. So he actually was a character in the game, but he never was included. And if it was someone else, I'd probably say Noob Saibot, just because he's always been a character that, while some people may not like him, I always thought he was a fun character. And and he's always had some fun fatalities and just one of those. It's another ninja, but he's still a fun character to play with.
Yeah, I gotcha. Well, I mean, is there anything else that we haven't talked about with Kombat Pack 2 or Mortal Kombat X in general?
I think that's about it with Kombat Pack 2, other than if, besides the pack that you actually pay for, they have added with the latest update, which NetherRealm's been great, where they've added some updates to where you can, if you own the game, you have to update just so you can play these other characters against these characters online, but it adds other things, like it added new stage fatalities that weren't in the game, which a lot of people have been asking for, they added, I believe one was the pit and maybe a few others. And there's also just some other, like if you buy Kombat Pack 2, you get a couple of the skin packs you get. I think it's the Brazilian skin pack and I believe it's I can't remember, some Russian-based one that has like a kind of Soviet-type pack that they have that you also get. So it's really a lot of content.
Awesome. Well, thanks for walking us through Mortal Kombat X Kombat Pack 2. For Dean, this is Kyle with attackofthefanboy.com. Thanks.